Hello RageQuitters, this is Greggs and welcome to our video review of Tripwire's Killing Floor Incursion. Before we start, we want to make it clear that Killing Floor Incursion is not Killing Floor or Killing Floor 2. This is a more slow-paced affair with heavy emphasis on survival horror and story. There are puzzles to solve, items to find, and of course, the odd Zed or 12 to slaughter. The story unfolds through Node, who is your cute robot guide, and Emma, who is projected onto Node's screen. She will give you information, hints, backstory and the odd swear word. At its core, Killing Floor Incursion is still a first-person shooter. You are tasked with escaping a VR training simulation gone wrong. You face Kevin Clamley's genetic freaks in their virtual forms. Alpha Clots, Crawlers, Slashers, Gorefasts, Stalkers and Sis are the main enemies in this game. There are a few Zeds missing this time round, no doubt they're getting pissed around Horzine's bar somewhere. Killing Floor Incursion comes with 4 levels, each is split up into 3 segments. There's Farm, Catacombs, Paris and Horzine Labs. Each has a beginning, middle and boss segments. Each level can take between 30 to 45 minutes to complete, depending on your playstyle. The areas are fairly large, so there's ample exploration to be had. We won't mention the boss fights in this review as we want to keep at least something a little bit of a surprise. Needless to say, they are very tense and it does get very hectic. So, with the basics out of the way, let's get down to brass tacks. What did we like about Killing Floor Incursion? Well, this is Tripwire's first venture into VR and we must say it's impressive. The sense of depth, for the most part, is very good. Convincing, solid looking 3D that looks good up close. Check out the sky on the farm, looks pretty cool. Also gaze down at the abyss in Catacombs. Quite impressive stuff. Before I start out, you're given a brief introduction on the story so far. Then it's on to the training segments, which can be skipped. However, we do recommend that you give it a try. It's quite humorous listening to the robots' sarcastic announcements. It's really well done and it does really remind me of Portal. So let's talk about the weapons. Killing Floor Incursion's instruments of death. Very satisfying to use, yet surprisingly limited in variety. You start off with a single pistol, and this is the only pistol in the game. Tripwire are known for their variety of guns, and I was aching for some chunky hand cannon action. Sadly, it wasn't to be. However, the tools you get to play with are all satisfying. All weapons can be dual wielded and mixed and matched. You'll eventually come across knives, grenades, an axe, pump action shotgun, assault rifle, sniper rifles and limbs. Yes, limbs.
Lieutenant, you really need to hurry. I think something is going on out here. I don't know. I keep hearing someone, something moving around out here.
You can sever and shoot off arms and lop off heads at the neck. Pick them up and beat the dirty Zeds to death with them. No joke. The physics feel great and the limbs actually have weight to them. It's grossly satisfying poking a gun into a severed head's gaping mouth and poking the eyeballs out. Oh, and you can also liberate Gorefast's blade from their bodies and use them in combat. You can even dual wield them for ultimate Wolverfast berserk attacks. Slightly OP, but superb. Killing Floor 2's meat system makes a welcome return, albeit slightly toned down in areas, but enhanced in others. You can now shoot off arms to see the blood gush out while the Zeds keep coming at you. It's rather splendid and grotty looking blood. You can no longer remove torsos or split the Zeds down the middle, or even paint the town red. There's no persistent blood in this, which was a technical marvel in Killing Floor 2. Also, corpses disappear within seconds. We assume this is to maintain a consistent frame rate, which is crucial in all VR games. It doesn't detract from the game though, it's still brutal and deeply satisfying. Of course, it wouldn't be Killing Floor without Zed time, which works in the same way as the previous games. Score a brutal hit and it kicks in. You can also chain Zed time with successive kills. It looks amazing seeing Zed blitz flying towards you in slow motion. It never gets old. The story, while entertaining, really isn't groundbreaking, and that's fine. It's clearly not meant to be. Your human self is strapped to a rack inside Horzine's lab, while your brain is elsewhere in a simulation. You have to survive, solve puzzles, collect items, and escape before your mind turns to mush. It's pretty basic stuff, but it moves along at a reasonable pace without confusing things or outstaying its welcome. All dialogue is well delivered, with some amusing quips here and there. Killing Floor Incursion features 2 movement options, teleportation and experimental unsupported locomotion method. Being the woozy tummy chap that I am, I opted to stay with teleport. Locomotion doesn't agree with me at all. Some people have reported issues with teleport, saying it needs to smooth out, it needs a smooth option. I'd be inclined to agree actually, it can feel a little jittery at times. Still, it wasn't anything game breaking, it just requires a little more refinement. The game's audio feels very similar to Killing Floor 2. This is due to the majority of the content being lifted straight out of the game. Same goes for the Zed sounds, lots of the usual gurgles, shrieks and moans. The same can be said for the music, although there were a few tracks that I've not heard before. It all fits well together nicely. All the weapons are the usual Tripwire standard, punchy, meaty and awesome. Graphically, the game feels slightly less detailed than Killing Floor 2. Some textures look a little muddy up close, but generally it's far from an ugly game. Zeds are still incredibly well animated, thanks to the motion capture. Nothing appears to have been lost in their translation from Killing Floor 2. There are tons of little environmental touches here and there, such as smoke bellowing from pipes, mist emanating from the ground, dust particles floating in the air, and eerily lit rooms that give the game some great atmosphere. The game has a few options for you tweakers out there. You can adjust the game's anti-aliasing, resolution scaling, audio and mic adjustments, as well as choosing how you'd like your guns to holster. The default is side holsters, just like Dirty Harry. I preferred using the hip holsters while standing. It's just nice to have such an option. All these tweaks and more can be accessed with one touch from your Oculus button on your controller, very neatly displayed on a small screen that projects from your left wrist. Speaking of options, you can also use the same in-game app to control Node, your trusty sidekick. You can use him to scan for ammo, health, and also get him to give you tips. He'll wander off, leaving a blue trail behind you to follow. Once he's at a location, he'll sit there for a while, judging you for your lack of detective work. Only pussies use this feature, of course. I didn't. Totally didn't. Amongst the gear you receive, one important tool is your flashlight, ideal for lighting up the way, especially on the farm level, which is cloaked in darkness. However, a click of your A button will switch the light into CSI mode and all sorts of funny things start to appear. Messages, items and clues to your next objective. I think the devs may have played too much Batman. It's still a welcome addition. Keep an eye out for the campfires. So, with all that said, is Killing Floor Incursion any good? Is it worth the £30 asking price? Well, if the game didn't have 2-player co-op, I'd have to say no. I played the game at a reasonably slow pace and managed to rack up just over 4 hours. However, with a co-op buddy, you can add 2 or 3 extra hours to that. It's fun messing about with the physics, pawning Zeds and solving the puzzles together. It would have been nice to see an extra game mode, such as a horde mode, or something specifically aimed at co-op play, or even had the ability to have another 1 or 2 players join the main campaign. Hoping something like this comes post-release. The game runs like a dream on our PC, now utilising Unreal Engine 4. Tripwire's multiplayer code holds up really well. Considering our first ever co-op session was with a player in America, the game ran great. No lag, all gestures, physics and other gameplay vital components ran flawlessly. A real surprise. We also only experienced 1 major crash. Not too bad for a new game. Question is, can we recommend this game? Sure, why not? It's a great romp. It's satisfying to play, it teases your brain, your trigger finger and makes you laugh. There are a few creases in the cloth however, such as teleporting Zeds, which tend to appear right at your feet. This felt really cheesy and slightly unfair at times. Thankfully it didn't happen very often. The inventory system can be a little cumbersome also. The grenade and gun holsters are a little bit too close together, so the items can be a little fiddly when swapping kit, even more so when you're in a hectic firefight. The endgame boss, while looking absolutely stunning, was a tour de force marathon impatience for me. One game-stopping bug resulted in us having to reset our last checkpoint, although we got there in the end with a little persistence and a couple of hints from a friend. Thanks, John. It wasn't as enjoyable as the rest of the game. Those damn tentacles. Ugh. That being said, you do get to choose your fate at the end, with a total of 3 endings. Choose well. In closing, Killing Floor Incursion is a great entry into VR, taking the franchise even further. Even with its flaws, there lies a charming, story-based shooter that's been designed from the ground up for VR. We hope the game goes on to sell well, so we can see more content and perhaps even mod support may come. Now there's a thought. If you like this video, please for the love of God smash that like button. If you disliked it, well that's fine, you can't please everyone. Hit that thumbs down button. Have you played the game? What did you think of it? Did it live up to your expectations? Do you want to play some co-op? Hit us in the comments below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, have a good one and thanks for watching.
last 2 bits of Zed DNA collection have not gone smoothly, but you handled it. You've been an invaluable asset in this whole ordeal. Lots of people would be dead without your efforts.